You know, I live in a quiet suburban neighborhood. Got some pretty good neighbors. And, even the 6 families of Mexicans that lives in the house next to me are generally quiet and they mind their own business. That, to me, is the description of a good neighbor. You're quiet and you mind your own business. Frankly, if everybody was quiet, and all that really means is that you respect other people's space. If you're going to play your loud Tahina music, you tone it down after 9 o'clock because, there are some people that like a little peace and quiet in the evenings, and you mind your own business, These are things that make for good neighbors and help people get along. Mind your own business. Well, in the United States of America, we have what was originally proposed as a voluntary income tax. Now, at this point, if you don't voluntarily file your income tax, Don Guido has his good friend Louis the Leg Breaker come out, hold you upside down, and shake you till your gold teeth fall out. So, voluntary? Not so much. Basically, you've got a gun to your head, and you will file that paperwork, even if it does incriminate you. Theoretically, we're not supposed to have to do anything that would be considered self-incriminating. Isn't that one of them, shall nots, what's in the Constitution? Is you shouldn't have to provide evidence against yourself, but yet you got to tell the tax man about every little nickel you made, and you got to, sign off on the bottom under penalty of perjury. So, aren't you being coerced at the point of a gun to give evidence against yourself? That argument's been made all the way to the Supreme Court. They say, nope. Bottom line is, government needs revenue, and you there, Joe Citizen, you are a source of revenue. And regardless of what it says in the Constitution, we needs the money. Well, now, our favorite federal agency, the IRS, that for those of you who are not here in the United States, you probably have some sort of taxing authority that has Guido and Louis the Leg Breaker working for them. And, they're the guys who come out and turn you upside down, shake you till your gold teeth fall out. Well, here in the United States, it's called the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service. Now, I'm not sure who they're doing a service to. They're certainly not doing a service to me. But, in the United States, they're doing a service to the bankers to make sure that, bankers get their VIG. Using too many American slang that, probably won't be understood in some parts of the world. Then again, chances are it'll be very understood because you have a system very similar. Well, our IRS has decided to employ the latest in technical innovations to try to find tax cheats. You betcha. They're now going to use robo-audits. Remember robo-signing? That's when we had the mortgage fraud. Actually, it's still going on today. And, they couldn't bring all the, they couldn't find all the paperwork. So they just, hired some folks to sit there and dummy up a bunch of papers. Well, the IRS is going to use what they're calling robo-audits and data mining techniques. It has told government and industry groups that its computers are capable of scanning multiple networks at the same time to collect matching, comprehensive profiles for every taxpayer in America. Such profiles will likely include shopping records. Do you use a debit card or a credit card when you buy your groceries? Are they going to know exactly how many six-packs and exactly how many hot dog buns you bought last year? How about travel? When you travel, you pay for it on a credit card, they're going to know. social interactions and information not available to the public, such as health records and files from other government investigations. Bottom line is, you be living in a fishbowl. And, that good neighbor policy of minding your own business, the IRS is now going to be in your business at a very intimate level. Do you get the impression that things are getting more expensive and the money that you are able to make just doesn't seem to go as far? You just feel like you're not quite keeping up. Well, the numbers are out. According to an outfit called Pew Research Center. Now, as a disclaimer, I have no idea where these guys, Pew Research Center, are coming from. You hope that the data and statistics that they present are honorable and accurate, but haven't really vetted this source. But according to Pew Research Center, the top 7% of U.S. households own 63% of all the wealth in the United States. That is shocking. The disparity between those who gots and those who are trying to gets ain't been so severe since the days of the robber barons. Between 2009 and 2011, this is fairly recent history, between 2009 and 2011, the accumulated wealth of the bottom 93%, that's us, declined by 4%, while the wealth of the top 7% increased by 28%. So when the government tells you that the economy is recovering and, there was more business, yeah, there was more business activity. But as it turns out, the only ones who benefited from that increase in business activity between 2009 and 2011 were the top 7% of the population. For the other 93%, they lost ground. They lost 4%. So, they can talk about how, the economy, if you're one of the top 7%, you're riding fat, You did 28% better than you'd done before. So, life is good in America for you. For the rest of us, we lost ground. On average, households in the top 7% have 24 times as much wealth as households in the bottom 93. That's on average. In the United States today, the wealthiest 1% of all Americans have a greater net worth than the bottom 90% combined. Let me say that again. In the United States today, the wealthiest 1%, okay, we're talking about 3,000 people, roughly, maybe 3,500 people in the United States, 3,500 people. The wealthiest 1% of all Americans have a greater net worth than the bottom 90% combined. My numbers were off. It's 35,000. Okay? There are 35,000 people in the United States that have a greater wealth than the bottom 90% of the population combined. How's that capitalism been working out for you? How's that there free market economy been working out for you? You know, maybe socialism or communism or some other kind of ism might be worth a try. I mean, considering, we've been sold this capitalism as being such a great thing, but, how's that working out for you? Here in the United States, we're kind of parochial about the news that goes on in other countries, but Italians will know exactly what I'm talking about here. During the second half of the 20th century, for almost the entire second half of the 20th century, Italy was kind of in turmoil. Particularly back in the starting about the late 60s, moving right up into the 80s and 90s, they're constantly having infrastructure blowed up, train stations blowing up, plazas blowing up, and everybody's pointing the finger at the leftist elements and the Soviet-backed left-wing commies that were trying to disturb everything, and they were just making a big mess, trying to overthrow what government Italy had, and it was all pointed at Russia and the Red Scare and the communists and big noise going on. Well, over the last 10 years or so, it has come out that the real instigators of all those bombings and kidnappings and murders, and I know a lot of you in the audience, they think Italy, is the mafia. No. It was right-wing elements of the business community and military in Italy who did these things to try to discredit the communists and the left-wing and the social reformers, and to support their version of the status quo. There's been a number of articles written about this, and of course, here in the United States, we had this thing called Project Gladio. You ever heard of that, Gladio? If you listen to that guy Jones, he talks about Gladio all the time. This was a plot, an underground plot by the CIA to get, shall we say, right-wing terrorists pre-positioned and in place just in case part of Europe fell to Soviet aggression. This was all Cold War stuff. Now that the Cold War is over, a lot of these programs are starting to get looked at a little closer, and I said, my God, did we really do that? Yeah, we were really doing that. Now, when you study what went on in Italy, with bombings, kidnappings, assassinations of high-profile people, and now it's coming out in Italy. They are finally looking closely at their recent history, and they're accepting the truth. The truth is kind of ugly. There's a lot of very prominent people in Italy who, people thought very highly of, who are now going to be disgraced because of revelations that are coming out about what's gone down in Italy over the last 50, 60 years. JFK, Oklahoma, World Trade Center 1, World Trade Center 2. A strategy of tension to keep you on edge, to keep you in fear, so that you look to the government to keep you safe from some unseen boogeyman who's hiding under your bed. Better check under there. Osama might be hiding. Oh, no, Osama's dead. But some Al-Qaeda thing or something or another is going to be hiding under there. You better check. Wonder when the revelations will occur here. Wonder if I'll have to wait for my grandchildren's time to find out who is really pushing the buttons in this strategy of tension here in the United States. Next time you look down your nose at the Italians, stop and think for a minute. Maybe you should have some admiration from them. At least they're taking a hard look at their history with clear eyes. I think most of us are still living in a fog. And that, my friends, is bullshit. But it's the way it is in the USA in 2013. And that was Scarecrow's News Rant for May 2nd, 2013. Hope I got you thinking about those issues. They need to be considered.